Welcome to the NewsHour. In a high-profile prisoner swap, 10 Americans are heading home tonight after the U.S. freed a top ally of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. 6 of the Americans were judged wrongfully detained by the U.S. State Department.
As part of the deal, the Maduro government also agreed to free 20 Venezuelan political prisoners, and a fugitive defense contractor, Leonard Francis, will be returned to the United States. He fled before sentencing in a massive bribery scandal involving the U.S. Navy. President Biden, returning to the White House tonight, took questions on the swap.
What can you tell us about Venezuela? Why is it okay for the U.S. to be negotiating with the Maduro government and sending back people in Justice Department custody?
It's okay because we're freeing American people who are held illegally, and we made a deal with Venezuela that they'll hold free elections. So far, they've maintained their requirements, and that's it.
For more on the significance of this deal, we turn now to Jonathan Franks. He's an expert on crisis management and has worked on the successful release of several other Americans detained overseas. John, welcome back. It's good to see you. You represent one of the families of the Americans freed today, 38-year-old Savoy Wright. What can you tell us about the timing, about why he and the others were released today?
You know, thanks for having me. I'm not sure exactly why today came. I mean, I imagine just the negotiations came to a conclusion. But this is obviously a great day, both for my clients and that Savoy is back, and also for our whole hostage community. I mean, I think we lost 4 or 5 families today out of Bring Our Families Home campaign, and I'm really excited about that because that means there's 5 more families that have been made whole.
What else can you tell us about some of those negotiations? We know Savoy was held since October, I believe, right? He was the most recently detained American, but the others for much longer. What can you tell us about what happened in those negotiations over time?
Honestly, I'm not privy to it. I mean, I've got to give the administration credit. They've done an amazing job. This is a historic deal. I think that those who say that this was a tough decision to send Mr. Saab home don't know much about what Mr. Saab was accused of, or the collateral damage that prosecution caused. A 10-for-1 deal, 10 Americans for 1 plus 20 Venezuelan souls, is a heck of a deal. The president had a moral obligation, and I'm proud of him for doing it.
So what about that businessman, Alex Saab? I'm sure you've seen there are some folks criticizing the deal. This is a man who was awaiting trial in Miami on federal money laundering charges, right? He's a supporter and an ally of the Maduro government. There are those that say this exchange incentivizes foreign governments, especially adversarial ones, to take more Americans hostage because it means they can free their allies and friends. What do you say to that?
You know, it's a complex situation. There's no actual evidence that is true, that it incentivizes more hostage taking. But, obviously I concede that it logically follows. I think what we have to keep in mind, right, is Mr. Saab was a white collar criminal. He's a Colombian national that allegedly stole from Venezuelans, right? He was arrested in the Cape Verde and we extradited him. There were real world consequences to that decision on hostages being held in Venezuela. It turned the Maduro regime into the leading collector in the world of American hostages. So I think there's, it's a double-edged sword, right? In a sense, we incentivized a lot of hostage taking by taking Mr. Saab. And, I don't think that bringing Americans home today incentivizes more hostage taking.
What about Leonard Francis? We know he's more widely known by his nickname, Fat Leonard. He's behind a $35 million bribery scheme. It's the largest corruption scandal in U.S. military history. As part of this deal, Venezuela is returning him to the United States. What does that part of this negotiation tell you about the deal?
I think there was a desire to clear the decks, right? And Mr. Francis, or Fat Leonard, or as he goes, needs to face justice for what he's done. It's my understanding he's already convicted. So, he needs to face responsibility. So I think it's another positive to this deal, and a piece of it that perhaps the administration isn't getting credit for.
Finally, we mentioned earlier 6 of the Americans freed, including your client, Savoy, were deemed wrongfully detained by the U.S. government. That means 4 of the other Americans who were freed were not deemed wrongfully detained. What should people understand about that? Does that mean that their detention in Venezuela was justified?
I think it doesn't necessarily. It just the process to be designated wrongfully detained is difficult, and in countries like Venezuela, the government often prohibits defendants from getting copies of court documents, and it is really hard to provide the kind of documentary evidence that is necessary to qualify for designation under the Levinson Act when the person holding your loved one, refuses to provide you even one document. We didn't even have a charging document in Savoy's case.
What else can you tell us about how Savoy is doing today, or his family?
As the last time I talked to his family, they hadn't heard from him yet, but they are incredibly excited. It has been a difficult several months, and when I entered this case, this family was being actively extorted for a very healthy 5-figure sum, and they're just, nobody was there to help them. I've very much enjoyed getting to know his family. I can't wait to meet Savoy. He sounds like a fascinating guy, and I think if he's guilty of anything, it's falling in love with Venezuela.
It's a good day for that family and many others. John Franks, thanks for speaking to us tonight on this historic prisoner swap between the U.S. and Venezuela. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.